Donald Trump, RFK Jr., and MAGA are working hard to make polio great again. Chris Graham here at Augusta Free Press. So, Make America Great Again is about returning America to the lily white 1950s. It's odd to have nostalgia for polio, which killed 3,000 American kids in an outbreak in 1952, which, by the way, is the year the polio vaccine was introduced. But then again, MAGA is going to MAGA. Here's a quote from, let's see here, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Go figure that she'd give you a fun quote. I fully believe vaccines cause autism. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's another example of crimes against humanity and innocent babies, children, and their families are the victims. That was MTG on Twitter over the weekend coming down predictably on the side of polio. I mean, just you can't make this up. Anti-vaxxers like MTG are in ascendance with the pending inauguration of Donald Trump to a second term in the White House and his move to back the noted anti-vax loon Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to head up the Department of Health and Human Services. Trump on Monday took questions from reporters in Florida, which is ground zero for the anti-vax set, and in response to a question on if he thinks there's a link between vaccines and autism, which RFK has insisted for years is the case, this is what Trump had to say. We're looking to find out. We're looking to find out. You know, if you look at autism, 30 years ago, I've heard numbers of like 1 in 200,000, 1 in 100,000, and now I'm hearing numbers of 1 in 100. Something's wrong. There's something wrong, and we're going to find out about it. Actually, though, the CDC says it's 1 in 36 American kids is diagnosed as autistic, so it's even 3 times more of an issue than Trump is willing to let on. The increase in diagnoses, though, is directly due to a sea change in how we view autism. For much of the 20th century, an autism diagnosis is only given to children with severe and obvious issues with communication or unusual repetitive behaviors. Naturally, when you expand the definition as we did in the 1990s, and we now view autism to include milder, much milder conditions known as the autism spectrum, you're going to have an increase in the overall population of people that are considered to have autism. And it's not because autism is becoming more prevalent because of environmental factors or because of vaccines. It's only the last few years that we've seen this come into fruition. It's almost like, okay, so we're saying that the vaccines introduced in 1952 laid low for 40 or 50 years, and then after that, then there was a spike in autism. No, it's directly the result of the expanded definition. It's not the result of the vaccines, which is, it's just science. But this is what makes what Trump had to say, though, in response to a question at that Monday presser about K to 12 public schools continue to mandate that children have polio vaccinations, all the more troubling. This is what he said. I don't like mandates. I'm not a big mandate person. I was against mandates. Now, of course, he hears the word mandate. This is Donald Trump's way of thinking. Here's the word mandate, and he's got to go back to, the only mandate he's ever heard of in his life is the mandate from 2020 when he was president, by the way. The mandates that were out there regarding COVID. Uh, Mostly Democratic governors did the mandates. They did a very poor thing, he said. And in retrospect, they made a big mistake having to do with the education of children. They lost like a year or two, or 2 years of their lives. That mandate was a bad thing. I was against the mandate. I'm not going to argue with that. As far as the schools closing down, for as long as they did, I'm not going to argue with that. I think I'm actually on Trump's side as far as that goes. But to equate that and conflate that with, all right, so we should not continue requirements that have been in place for a long, long time that kids have basic vaccinations so that we don't have big outbreaks like in 1952 killing 3,000 kids when there's a vaccine out there that can eradicate polio and has largely done so. Uh, just because your loony pick to head HHS thinks that they cause autism. Um, Make polio great again? No, let's not go there. Chris Graham for Augusta Free Press. Go to augustafreepress.com for more news and sports coverage. Feel free to drop me a line if you have any news tips or anything else to share at chris@augustafreepress.com.